Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is a YouTube show called A Modern Healer's Journey. My name is Tammy Bennett, and I'm the host of the show. As well, I'm an acupuncture physician practicing in Central Florida. And I'm really excited today to empower and educate and enhance your knowledge on CBD. Today's guest is Dennis Collard, and I'm going to let Dennis tell us his official title and why he's on the show.
Well, thank you for the invitation here. I'm pleased to be here. My name is, again, Dennis Collard. I'm a global business strategist with a company called CBD Hemp Experts out of Florida. Our parent company is called JAG Alliance, and we are a private label wholesale CBD manufacturer. And we also produce non-CBD products as well in our plants. We are one of the fastest growing in the segment, and we came about in 2018. We help our customers, build their top line revenue, earn double-digit margins, build their check averages, and we delight their customers with new and exciting products. We manufacture over 100 different items in different formats that we'll talk about a little bit later, but the standard tinctures and gummies and creams and lotions, potions and bath products that all contain CBD in various amounts. We also produce the lab reports for every batch. I don't know if you know, but the market is really still the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
About 70% of the market is how can I say this? They don't meet label claims. Let's just say that.
Right.
So the products are not registered or inspected. Our plants are NSF, FDA. We're BRC Global, which is a big conglomeration, so we can sell globally. We're CGMP certified, and our plants are all regulated. Our products are all regulated, and every single batch is lab tested. And that's one of the biggest selling points that we offer our clients. And we're a private label, so we have a brand that Tammy's using, and NASA, and we had to come up with that brand only because I couldn't sell you somebody else's product.
Understood.
Nor could I send you out what we call in the industry a white label or naked container.
Gotcha.
With nothing on it. So NASA came about because we had to send something out in samples, as well as we wanted, the industry was, it's still in its infancy. People needed a brand because they couldn't have a brand, and we put a lot of people in business.
Sure.
And like I mentioned, we help them grow their business by giving them the services and tools to grow their business. And then what we try to do is move them or wean them off the NASA brand, because what we don't want to do is what most companies do, where you get a Starbucks or McDonald's, and in our case, American Shaman or Green Roads, where they're all over in the same corner. Then you're competing with each other. So the private label would be best for you to move to it at some point.
Yeah. Let me go backwards for a second. I want to make the disclaimer that everybody has to say. We're not diagnosing, treating, or giving medical advice at this time. We're providing knowledge and education for people to empower themselves to take care of their own health care. It's all about education. And I wanted to go back to when my producer was on with us earlier. How did you get into this? Because your story's kind of cool, and I want people to know your background, how you got here, and then we'll dig into the details.
Okay. It's pretty interesting. I'm actually a graduate of the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park. So I wanted to be a chef. I went into the world being a chef. And I was in the business for 35 years, and I worked with some premier companies. I came out and worked with Kraft, Oscar Mayer Foods, and ended up moving in. I was with them for 11 years. I moved to Unilever. I was with them for 8 years. I was with Heinz for 7 years. I was with a company called Tetra Pak, and we're in packaging. And prior to coming into the CBD world, I was with a company called High Pressure Pasteurization. It was a way to preserve foods without chemicals and preservatives. And it was done with pressure. So I had chefs that I worked with and interacted with in these companies, and they were asking for CBD. And it was really difficult to put CBD in when I learned that it was an illegal substance and it wasn't approved. Um, but I did reach out to a company in Dallas where I'm based, and I met with them and I went through training with doctors and veterinarians and regular people in the industry that wanted to learn about CBD. So I was intrigued and very excited about where we could go with CBD. And I got training through them. And that's how I met CBD Hemp Experts. They were at everywhere, and they were doing a wonderful job. They had the resources and capabilities to grow. And I reached out to them and became an employee of their company.
So I'm assuming you still cook at home, but not professionally.
I do. Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes. And I still do a little catering on the side during the holidays and stuff.
Gotcha.
Keep my skills sharp.
So from a legal standpoint, tell me where we are with CBD right now from a legal standpoint. I've gotten guff from some insurance companies. I have a website. I used to have my CBD products on the website, and the Cigna Insurance specifically contacted me and said, we looked at your website and we can't support this. So either you take it off your website or you can't be in our network, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know how that came about in 2018 when the Farm Bill was approved and CBD became legal. The legal states of marijuana decided to jump in too. So if you think of states like Colorado, they jumped in and they started shipping their products interstate, but they forgot to tell the merchants, the credit card merchants, that theirs contained THC over the legal limits of 0.3, and they were shipping. So what happened for about 2 to 3 weeks there, all the credit card companies were shipping illegal drugs throughout the nation. And when the credit card companies realized what happened, they shut us down and they turned off credit card merchandising or selling. And it hurt us for almost 3 weeks. We were out, and we kind of figured out how we're going to get people's cash or checks. And it was difficult. So we as a company figured out we'll sell you a gift card. So if you'd come to our website, and you wanted to purchase $200, $300 worth of product as a wholesale manufacturer, then we would sell you a gift card that we would redeem right on the spot. And that's how we got around it. And then the companies came back to us because we were one of the leaders in the industry, and they asked if we could start doing business again. And we ended up with Square becoming our merchant. So, and it worked out, and that's what happened. But the industry is pretty unregulated, and food, you can't actually put CBD in food and beverages yet. The FDA does not recognize that, and that's where we're at right now.
Gotcha. And I've seen products out on the market. I'm not sure how they get away with it. I was at a local place here not that long ago, and they were doing CBD infused drinks. So it's a little brewery, but they have CBD beverages that they mix with vodka, gin, whatever, and they name a drink or whatever. So I'm not sure how all that's going. I mean, I'm assuming at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, is that there's so much going on that regulators can't keep up with it. So stuff flies under the radar until such time it gets on the radar, and then they pull it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's where the credit card merchants, won't let you sell it. So it only can be sold in like that situation where it's a store and you can do a cash sale, and you can't really do it through, credit card merchanting. And that's what's happening. And if you have both a store and a website presence, you'll have trouble.
Yeah. Because
the edibles, even some of the edibles, which is weird, because the FDA says we can sell gummies and we can sell tinctures, which are consumed, but they won't allow you to put it in a brownie or in a beverage yet. But it's coming, and it's just a matter of time. And we hear that 2023 that the FDA is going to start really coming down now, and they're going to start clamping down the lab reports. If you don't have lab reports, you're not being inspected, all this is going to start to contract. So the industry will retract. And those that have everything in order will survive and move forward.
So explain to my audience what cannabinoids are and how they're made and how not all cannabinoids in products are created equally. Let's get an education on that.
It's true. Okay. Well, CBD is a cannabinoid, and there's 113 different cannabinoids or compounds. Let's just call them compounds first. Terpenes, which are the oils, and botanicals that are found in the industrial hemp plant as well as the cannabis plant. The two are different. You may have seen a marijuana plant. It's more of a shrub, where industrial hemp plant is more like a corn stalk.
Yeah.
And it's this long stalk, and it contains more CBD than it does all the other compounds. And you've heard, like I said, there's 113. You've heard of CBD. Well, there's CBN, CBG, THC, THCV, and all the way up. And there's so many, and each one of those cannabinoids or compounds they've learned to have different medicinal benefits. So, and some of these benefits, will improve your mood, your appetite, your weight loss, your pain sensations, your feeling, your sleep patterns. And, each one of those have different medicinal benefits. And if we could show you the wheel of resources that I like. Yeah, I have to, let me just grab it here.
Okay.
And
I think it's a great visual. I like, I'm visual and auditory at the same time, so why not?
Okay, Tammy, can you see that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we didn't do this. Leafly did this, one of the leading authorities in the industry on products and knowledge. Like I said, there was 113 cannabinoids, and they all have different medicinal benefits. And if you see this wheel here, you can see that CBD is the most prevalent of all of the cannabinoids or compounds. And then they have the ailments that we all face as humans and pets even. And you can see that, what they do. And like, for example, insomnia, the best cannabinoids that have been determined from the research that's been done since the 1960s, CBC, CBD, CBN, and even THC. So those specific cannabinoids could help with insomnia. And which way you take it, we have different methods of delivery that can help deliver that to you to help, and this is a resource wheel that can help everybody figure out what the best cannabinoids would be to tackle that ailment.
Gotcha. And for the audience, delivery methods could be oral consumption. It could be vape. It could be a patch, a topical, various delivery methods. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the experience that I've had and that you've provided me with products for that. So the second part of the question, how are they made? How are they extracted? And tell people about the extraction methods of the not so wonderful companies out there that do things the wrong way.
Well, I think there's still two main extraction methods. CO2 is probably the most requested. However, what it does to, first of all, let's back up. There's a full spectrum, isolate, and broad spectrum in the industry, which are identifications of the compounds and with and without THC. So when they say full spectrum, we're talking about the whole plant, meaning you're going to get the terpenes, THC, the oils, and as well as the other cannabinoids in the plant, that specific plant. Now, if we go to broad spectrum, that is the opposite side. And basically what they've done is everybody wants the benefits of the cannabinoids without the THC because they may be tested and they would fail their drug tests at work and so on. So that's how broad spectrum came about. And that product contains no THC, no detectable THC. And so going back, what we've done is isolate the specific cannabinoids to do the specific things that you need to be done. And I wanted to show this screen here too, because it does talk about some of the benefits and what they can do. And again, I'm not making any claims here, but CBC here, it says, inhibits cancer cell growth, promotes bone growth, reduces inflammation, and relieves pain. and you can see all the specific ailments here and what these compounds or cannabinoids can do. And you can see CBD is the most prevalent out of all these cannabinoids, and that's why it's used so widely.
Gotcha.
So I wanted to say that.
So
is there anything else there?
So the CO2 extraction, what other extraction methods are there?
There's ethanol, butane, and some other home remedies, basically to extract it from the biomass.
So butane, like from a lighter? Butane?
Well, it's a petroleum product that's extracting it out. And we do a little bit of both. We do some CO2. The problem with CO2, if you're going to do a full spectrum product, it actually destroys the other cannabinoids. So it would be great if you're making isolate, because you don't want anything else in there.
Gotcha.
You just want to isolate that specific compound. And we use cold extraction ethanol, and we extract it with ethanol, and the ethanol is, vegetable grade alcohol that is actually recovered and reused, so it's not put out in the air.
Okay, gotcha. And so from my knowledge, I was working with a company and we were trying to produce a very clean, vapable cartridge. And we were looking for really good product that came from small batch farms that had all of the necessary documentation that showed how it was extracted and what they were doing, free of PG, propylene glycol, which is a known irritant, a lung irritant. And when I was doing a lot of the research back then for a vapable product, I noticed that from the different farms where we were purchasing product, that they weren't all doing what they were supposed to do correctly. Like you could get a grade A or a grade C product, depending on how you wanted to spend your money. And we were trying to get the highest quality with the highest rating that we could. Can you speak to that just a little bit about how some, like I can go to a gas station and get a CBD tincture, or I can get something from a company like yours, and I know that you're credible, right? So how do people figure all that out?
Well, let's just say distillate. That's the oil. Okay, so there's either oil or powder. And usually powders are called isolates, but the distillate is the oil, and the extraction method used and how well they extract what you're trying to do will actually clear the oil. So the darker the oil is probably not what you want to use for consumption. A raw, maybe more raw, that could be used in skincare products or those kind where it's not being consumed or tasted in any way, because otherwise you would get the skunky odor, the plant, it tastes like dirt. And so that's what happens. And that stuff you're referring to, the C-store stuff that's being sold is at that level. And, it's less expensive for them to process, but it's also delivering the compounds that are needed. So it's a balance of how you want to, if you got to get to a price point. But our oils, you'll see, are almost crystal clear. They're clear if they're with MCT, and if they're hemp seed, there'll be a little lemony color to it. But that's it. They're clear, and you can see through them. But those other things could be used for vaping products or skincare items. So there's a product for every budget. Let's just say that.
Sure. So yeah. I can understand the delivery mechanism of CBD from an oral perspective. How do you guys make a product that gets delivered subdermally through, like, I know you guys have a roll-on and a cream. I use the cream every single day with probably a half a dozen people every day, and I get great results with it every day. So it's kind of a no-brainer to me. But how does that molecularly get into the system? Is it like nanoparticulates or what?
Yeah, well, it's bioavailability or absorption, it's called. So the bioavailability is determined what method is being applied. I'm sure you're familiar with when you go to a hospital and you get the IV put in your arm. That is 100% bioavailability. So if we could create that, and it's actually under creation. They're working now to get the CBD compounds into IVs. Again, FDA not approved it yet.
Yeah.
We're waiting for it. But if you think about those bars that they have now, where you can go in and get an injection, B12 or whatever to recover, CBDs could be done and delivered that way, which would be great for the future. Again, 100%. The next best thing would be vaping or vapor. You would probably get around 80 to 85% bioavailability because it's going to go right into your lungs and into the bloodstream, which is great. The problem is, when COVID happened, we kind of exited vaping, because if they were doing our vaping oils or products and they came down with COVID and passed away, the liability standpoint was a concern. So we actually got out of vaping. So the best thing that we have right now for delivering the highest bioavailability would be the tincture. And the tincture you would put under your tongue, hold it as long as you can. It would get into your mucus glands or salivary glands and into your bloodstream. And that would deliver I think they say between the 70 and 75% absorption rate, if done properly and dosed accordingly. And then from there, you drop down into the topicals and the gummies and those kind of things. Those are much lower because it has to pass through your whole digestive system, and you're going to lose part of the CBD and the other medicinal benefits that go that way. So they all vary, and they're in the lower levels for getting into dermis.
How do you get it small enough to go into the dermis layer?
Nanoparticulates. That's breaking it down. Yeah, nano. We do have a company we own in Utah that is our nano supplier, and it's getting bigger. The problem is it's really hard to incorporate other products in the solution. Okay, so we can get the oil, but we can't get some of the other products ingredients we want in there. So we do have one tincture right now. We did have soft gels and capsules that were nano. But again, the taste, and if you're going to go with a capsule, it goes right to your stomach. But getting the balance of taste and flavor was very hard to do. And a lot of people that jumped into nano or will claim they have nano are really not nano. It is a very difficult thing to do to get everything else that you want in the emulsion.
Gotcha. So I use that 2,000 milligram product on a regular basis. Like I said, it's a topical, it's a cream, it has a nice texture to it. You include emu oil in that, right?
Yeah.
And the emu oil is for the pain relief benefit as well?
There's I believe 10 to 12 different benefits of emu, moisturizing, of course, the logical stuff, but there is some other healthy benefits. I do have a little thing here, if I can locate it, about the benefits of emu. We're pleased with it. That's our number one product by far. It's amazing how much we sell of it and how it's grown. When we first started, it was only 50 milligrams. And now it's at the 2,000 level. So a big difference.
It's very popular with my clients. I mean, it's,
Yeah. Once you use it, you'll never go back. And the other thing is, if you started with our roll-on, you will never move from our roll-on. So the people are very loyal to the products.
True.
And they will not move away. So, let me just tell you, to moisturize your face, body, and skin, it can help you lose weight and lower your cholesterol. It prevents skin aging. It decreases inflammation. It improves wounds, scars, and sun damage. And it can repel bugs. And it can help hair and nail growth.
Got it.
So that's the benefits of emu.
So
pretty incredible product.
Yeah, I do like the combination. I think it's one of the only ones I've ever seen with emu. And in fact, I had a client the other day who said, my mom ordered some blue emu oil for her arthritis, for her joints. And I said, is she using the CBD that we have? And she said, no. I said, it's both. I said, you're getting both bang for the buck. So why wouldn't you? She goes, oh, Yeah, I'll tell her. And I said, okay, that's perfect. So does I understand the nanoparticulate idea, the concept, the delivery system, the bioavailability of the transdermal delivery is a little different. Um, when people are looking at product to product comparison, most people look at price first and they don't know how to assess effectiveness. Is there something you can suggest for people on how they can do that, or is it truly just trial and error?
Well, it's trial and error because some things work better for people. And like I said, you believe in the 2000, you won't move from that now, not unless somebody comes to you and shows you something totally different. We're creatures of habit. And once we start to use these products and they work for us, that's great. But there's people, I can show them the 2000 and they'll say, it didn't work for me. And it's our bodies. You know, we have the cannabinoids are actually in our own body because of the products we consume. So some have more than others, and some it will affect and some it will not affect. It's not that it doesn't work. And a lot of people give up because they don't take it on a daily basis. You know, and I'll recommend if they want something, I'll always try to go with a tincture first. Although they came looking for a gummy, I try to tell them about the bioavailability and absorption
Right.
and how it could help them quicker. Because if you're going to spend this amount of money, you want results, and that's what happens. And so some people do it once a month, once a day, and then others, you know, it didn't work for me, but you didn't give it a chance.
Right. Well,
You
when I
didn't
was
let it
doing
work.
the vape product, the reason we did
Yeah.
vape was because that bioavailability was so quick. I mean, you
Potent. Yeah.
take it and it's immediate. You can feel it. I'll tell you a story. I had a client, the reason I got into it myself, why I even looked at CBD years ago, before anything was on the market, really, I had to dig for it, was because I had a client who had an alcohol addiction problem. And that person came to me and said, I can't function. My anxiety is so high. I have to have a drink. And I said, that's, you know, obviously the wrong way to go about it. So I gave her a slew of supplements, and I had read about CBD being a really big help for those anxiety breakthroughs. And I told her, I said, what I'm reading is that the vape system is probably the quickest way for you to get it in your body. So I'm going to suggest every time you want to grab a drink, vape instead.
Yep.
And this is before I knew about PG and all the other lung irritants and things like that. And it helped her so much that then I went on this rabbit hole research binge to find out about the product. So I wanted you to talk about the endocannabinoid system. I pulled some information this morning, and I just want to read it out loud to you and then let you take over. The endocannabinoid system, or we can say ECS for ease of discussion today, is a complex cell signaling system identified in the early 1990s by researchers exploring THC, a well-known cannabinoid. And experts are still trying to fully understand the ECS, but so far we know it plays a role in regulating a range of functions and processes, including sleep, mood, appetite, memory, and fertility. So I'll let you take it from there. Tell me what you know about the ECS.
Yeah. Well, I learned when I was doing that training in Dallas, there was an Israeli professor back in the 1960s who was getting the hash marijuana basically from the police departments. He wanted to test it. He was wanting to see why people wanted to smoke and use this product and these compounds. So he did a lot of research, and he was the guy that actually identified what THC was. And he started the cannabinoid tree basically and seeing the things that it could be done, which was amazing. And there is a YouTube video that I share with my clients. It's called The Scientist. It's a 45-minute documentary on YouTube that introduces you to him and all the work that he did and the research. It's brilliant. And I think my understanding is, you know, as this progressed from the 60s to the 80s, we weren't doing anything with that. And it was more of the psychedelics or, the other drugs that came in, the LSD, the acid and stuff. And there wasn't much marijuana use until really the late 70s into the 80s. And it was their children that were having trouble with what am I thinking of? I lost my train of thought.
Like ADHD or something?
They were having trouble with epilepsy.
Oh, epilepsy, yeah.
And they read about what the compounds in the marijuana plant, but they couldn't give their kids THC,
right.
But they could, they were trying to figure out how to maybe employ CBD or the other compounds to see if it worked, and it did work. That's how it started to resurrect again. You're right. And that's how it resurrected the whole industry again in the late 80s, and people were starting to use it. But again, still illegal. And but people were going against the grain and saying, look, my kid is ill. I need to use this. And they were, getting permission to do it. And that's how more of this expanded. And that's where the endocannabinoid system, became commonplace in the 80s, where doctors were starting to use it and understanding it and identified how all these receptors in your body